Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Marquette. We're so glad you're with us to stay curious today. Today is Future Fridays. We're going to talk about future space stations, past, present, and future. And look at this gorgeous green screen behind me. Who knows what that is? Marty knows, and I know Tom Usiak knows because he's in our studio with his brother Mark and sister Audrey. Welcome, Audrey, to Florida, and stay curious. We think the world of your brothers. I hope you're treating them nice over your trip down here to Florida. And our condolences to your friend that brought you down here. But the Usiaks have become great partners, our friends. And when Tommy was a teenager, holy cow, he was at the launch of the last Saturn V rocket on May 14th, 1973. Think about that. This was in the middle of the about 1 in the afternoon, and we're going to talk about how this Skylab ties to the future space stations here on Stay Curious today. But what a cool picture. We'll throw the mic open and ask Tommy a little bit about that day. But this is the last Saturn V launch. I'm going to say there were 13 or 11 successful. 13 Saturn V rocket never failed, and this took the Skylab up there. Unfortunately, it went in the clouds right away, so they couldn't photograph what happened when the meteor shield ripped off of it. But we're going to talk about that on future Fridays today. We want to thank GoHistoryTravel.org for their financial donation to our Space Museum, specifically Stay Curious. You want to check this fun little site out. They've got a newsletter that has things all over the world. So we're not touching any keys. We had a glitch again that shows that something must be happening, that we might go off the air. So we can't advance anything. And that...
We can try and advance the image. I don't want to change from 3 to 4, but...
Yeah, we advance an image and we go off. We're just going to reboot and try it again, Marty, is all we can do. We can't really do the show without the images. So we're having some problems, and bear with us as we try to...
It's not advancing, so don't touch anything.
Okay. All right. So, we can't talk too much about anything without the pictures. So I am going to just remind you of one slide I was going to show next is we have 11,000 followers on Facebook, close to that, actually 10,927 as of yesterday. But that constitutes over 7,200 people in America. So in the United States. So what is the next country that has the most followers of the American Space Museum? And you're ticking away guessing. That would be India. With 355 people, we have 250 in the United Kingdom. Brazil and Australia each have 180 people following us regularly. And then you got Canada, Mexico, Italy, Germany. I know we have Ophelia in France there, Ophelia. You need to get your friends to line up there. I didn't see, I just had the top 10 there. So, but one thing that pleases us about our outreach on Facebook is we have 40% women and 60% men, and that's not too bad of a spread there. We'd like to make it 50-50, but 60-40 men to women isn't too bad. So we know Maris Krasinski, she was looking forward to this show, as is Daniel DeYoung, said that he'd be watching today. And let me get back with Marty there to see where we stand with our Streamlabs dilemma as I...
It was still flashing.
Yep.
When the image advances, then we know we're caught up. But until it does...
There's another. We're having a problem with the computer and Streamlabs catching up with each other. And once they do, it usually goes fine, doesn't it, Marty?
Yeah.
But while we're stalling here, why don't you pan the camera around and say hi to the Usiaks there, or I can get up and do that. I can get up and do that. And ask Tom about 50 years ago. On May 14th, 1974. There we go. That's all right, Marty. There's Audrey. Hey, Audrey. and Tom in the back. And look at this. We got a celebrity in here too. Mark Usiak. Looking good there, guys. Over my desk there. All the cool swag we have up there. Key unlocked. What's that say? I was going to have him talk while he was over there, but that's okay, Marty. Good. It hasn't caught up yet. Man, I still see it glinching there.
Well, yesterday it took about 5 minutes to catch.
Yeah. Tom, tell us a little bit about this day. Marty, if you could key his mic. Okay, key that mic and
Scoot over.
so what I'll probably do is restart this, Marty, and trim off the front of it there once we get going again. Oh, there it went. It just changed.
Okay.
Okay. There's all right. Go ahead, Tom. Tell us about. I'm going to hit I, Marty. Is that okay? Take that off.
Yeah, I'll hit it. Okay.
As we look at this beautiful picture, you were standing there taking this 50 years ago. Tom, tell us about it.
Well, now, Brother Mark was there too.
All right.
This
You're
picture-
in the baby carriage.
Standing practically next to me. This camera was actually up in the bleachers, and when I look at this picture, showing the whole press site, I see myself, I see Mark, I see Steve Noley, and I see the other gentleman that was with us that day. He was he was there for Skylab 1, the workshop, and we were down there with more telephoto lenses. I don't know if you have any of those in the queue here, but this was taken. I gave the camera to someone, asked them if they would do this for us, and I do not remember who I gave it to. Someone that I either made the acquaintance of down there, because I don't just down there, but I don't remember.
Well, thank you for giving us the detail there. We're going to see some more of your fabulous work. Of course, he had remote cameras set up there.
Not yet. No remotes.
Those were okay. Those are the telephoto.
Yeah,
okay.
well, yeah.
All right, Marty, you think I can advance? We'll try it. We'll try it here.
The YouTube around. Okay. Did you advance?
Yeah, go ahead. If we crash, we're going to come back right away. So,
Okay.
there we have advanced. Yay! All right. This is our 800 and 14th show, but we can't help it. This computer's not being happy with us. It's nothing to do with Marty and Selvin or any of that. We're just kind of compromised a little bit here. Let me get my light there to get my eyeballs out of the way there. Audrey, would you pick that? Just move out a little bit to the right there. Thank you, dear. There we go. What are we looking at here? We are looking at an unidentified aerial phenomenon, a UAP, and I put that up there because May 31st, the government wants to hear your questions about UAPs, as there's going to have a national forum starting at 10 in the morning. And of course, we're going to be talking about it a lot, but saw the press release today from NASA that May 31st, they're going to have a 10 o'clock open to the public forum. You can submit questions and so forth. And then at 3 o'clock, they're going to have a follow-up press conference with the NASA people that are involved with the official unidentified aerial phenomenon, otherwise known as UFOs, okay? And what this is seen from a jet. And this was a couple summers ago during a UFO UAP investigation. They said these are not Photoshop, they're not hoaxes, these are real objects our Air Force is seeing. They're defying laws of physics, etc. And Marty, one of our favorite guests is Ken Verderami. And Ken, I'm going to make sure he knows about this. Ken has done several UFO shows with us. He worked at Area 51, and he says when you see pictures like this, that's the worst that they can show you. All right, they're giving you the worst images possible. That obviously was blacked out. That's not we know what these things look like, and Ken put his hands up this big, high resolution, 3 feet wide. We know what these things look like. And what blows their mind is there's no exhaust ports, engine ports, any sensor ports for anything like we have on our spaceship. So May 31st, we'll be talking about that the rest of May here. And I'm going to advance again as we want to remember Sam Durrance. We have a question, Marty. Thank you. As we have Sam Durrance, who passed away a week ago today, and the family requests donations to this telescope project that he took to space twice. Question, Marty.
Your question from Dave Staggy to any of the UCACs. Being right at the launch pad, did you find out something had gone wrong with the launch while you were there or much later?
Yeah, Dave, we there was scheduled a launch the next day of the crew. So right after the Skylab,
I saw it blink again, Marty.
On.
It's
Yeah.
blinking.
we left the press site, knowing we had to come back later for evening photography of the Saturn 1B and then preparing for the next day. So we were over eating supper and preparing to come back to the news center, and we had the radio on, and Walter Cronkite came on, giving like news briefs on the hour. He was there at the launch, and he said there's a problem with the Skylab. So that's the first we heard about it. Then we made a beeline right to the news center, and that's where we learned a little bit more what happened and found out that they had scrubbed the launch of the crew until they came up with a plan on what they were going to do to fix it.
All right. Great question, Dave. Thank you. We'll maybe see some more pictures of Skylab here. Marty, that thing's blinking like crazy.
It's blinking, Mark, and I would not advance anything because if you notice, even the audio indication is not moving. So it's really going slow.
All right. So if we hit anything, you think it's going to crash? Well, folks, we may have to suspend Stay Curious for next week until we figure out what's going on, because we don't know. Technically, Marty and I, and we've got our IT guy and Jessica Galloway, Trekkie Techie, and other people on it, and it's an anomaly that we see here in our studio that you're not seeing there. So
If we're still transmitting.
yes, we're still transmitting. I wanted to get over there to my computer and see that we're it's probably gone. Yeah, let me just get up, and I'll be right back, folks, as we have a problem here. Is it? Okay.
I just saw you get up.
Yeah, no one's saying they can't see it, and Cynthia Rossi just signed on.
Yeah, they just said it's okay. Yeah, I'm still getting it on my phone. Yeah, we're still transmitting now.
Yep, there we are, live 12 minutes there. Okay, well,
Yeah,
It's so
I
slow.
can see it.
well, Marty and I did it without Streamlabs for a while there. We may have to go back to old school, Marty. Do we figure this out? Because, tell you what, well, that might be just a little bit foolish to do that in there. So we have Sam Durrance up there, like I said, astronaut on 2 astronomy missions. That's the Space Telescope that he flew to space twice. Scott Vongen, who's been on our show, was a backup to Sam. If Sam got sick, Scott would have gone to space, and they were great friends. And he had some medical issues, Sam did, for the last 5 years, and died at age 79. So rest in peace to him. And I just see that computer going crazy over there. Yeah, we can talk. This is a weird show, of course. We talked yesterday about the STS 400 was the shuttle that was the emergency shuttle for STS 125 in the launch of the last service mission to Hubble. And one of the astronauts that was on the spacewalk, Michael Good, has been out at the Space Center, the astronaut of the day. And we found out from our viewer, whose name escapes me right now, I'm sorry, looking at my notes from yesterday, who was a space worker, that said in Atlantis, STS-125, they took off the panels in the cabin and put behind them Cliff Bars. And Marty went out and got a Cliff Bar, okay, signed by Michael Good. And there it is, right there. There you see it really good. And what did he say to you, Marty, when you went out there? And
Well, he said a couple of things. First, this was the first time anybody had asked him to autograph a Cliff Bar. And the story was true. They had Cliff Bars all over the place, and he ate some and he enjoyed them. And he's still eating them to this date.
All right. Well, good. And that's a pretty cool memento there. And we hope to do a show next week on STS-400. It was the backup mission. I've got to call into Mike Leinbach, the launch director, and a couple people. Okay, because they had a way to bring 11 astronauts back in Endeavour. Think about that. After they transferred 7 of them over to Endeavour, they were going to fly a crew of 4. All right, which was kind of puzzling to me that they wouldn't just do 2, a pilot and a commander, but they also had 2 mission specialists on board. We'll talk about that next week. So we're going to go forward here with a birthday. Happy 59th birthday. Keep your fingers crossed. Box Johnson, twice an STS pilot, born May 12th, 1962, in South Ruislip, Middlesex, UK, but he's raised in America. And he considers Fairborn, Ohio, to be his hometown, as well as Traverse City, Michigan. Okay, all right, we had it happen again. So I don't know if we're going to get this show going here, Marty.
Well, just to be a longer show, that's all.
Well, so I don't. It's we don't know how long we're in these pauses here. We can't. But so we'll make a decision here in a minute. Box Johnson got the name. His name's Gregory Harold Johnson, and born in UK, but considers Fairborn, Ohio, Traverse City, Michigan to be his hometown. So he's an official Ohio-naut. All right, twice he went to space, 123 and 134. So, how did he get the nickname Box? Well, he stated that the origination of the name came from his tour in Desert Storm. He incurred a back injury that led him being sent home early. He put all his belongings in a box, and then he was taken back to the States. The box was left in the barracks, and as a reminder to his fellow soldiers to stare at, thinking about how he was at home. So after a while, they wrote Box Johnson on the box, and the name stuck. So that's pretty cool. He was Fairborn High School, Parks Hills, high school in Fairborn's where he graduated from, and he was involved with the safety branch of the astronauts in there, and pilot twice. Had the shuttle program continued, he certainly would have been a commander on there, and retired before the commercial program started there. So happy 58th birthday to him. No, he's actually 61. I'm sorry. Yeah, 61, born in 62. And then we have 4 astronaut birthdays over the weekend that we hope to show you here in a second. Born over the weekend are Claudia Hagneri. She is the first female French person to go to space. She will be 66 on Saturday. Born in 1957 in Le Creusot, France. And then we have 3 NASA astronauts born on Saturday. Don McMongle will be 71. He was born in Flint, Michigan. Bill Borneo Gregory will be 66. He was born in Lockport, New York. And James Vegas Kelly was born in Burlington, Iowa, 59 years ago on Saturday. So there's 4 astronaut birthdays for you in there. And as we're seeing Box Johnson up there, part of what we're going to talk about is how Skylab, America's first space station, of course followed the Russian Salyut space stations, about how that was our past, our present, of course, is the ISS, and what does the future hold? And there's really some cool space station ideas in the future. One, I wondered if you knew that there might surprise you about what's intended to expand the International Space Station starting next year. A project by Axiom. And as I mentioned, Axiom, a week from Sunday, we are going to have the launch of the second all-private crew. 4 astronauts are going to go to the space station, headed by the most experienced NASA astronaut ever, Peggy Whitson. Will be the commander of Axiom 2 that's going to launch at 5:57. There it is. 5. A week from Sunday, 5:37 p.m. So that will be beautiful and pretty crazy around here on a Sunday. An instantaneous launch to go to the space station. Peggy Whitson, John Schaffner of Tennessee, and a United Saudi Arabia astronaut, Al Kanari, and Rayana Barnawi. She'll be the first Saudi woman to go to space. So Saudi Arabia has an ambitious space program and is sending 2 astronauts up on that. On a Falcon 9 Dragon
Okay.
called Freedom. Okay. So we got the okay word to catch up. We're going to look at Box Johnson flying through space there. His birthday, and there was STS-134. He was the pilot. Mark Kelly was the commander that we just indoctrinated into the Hall of Fame. And 25 Ohio knots there. And I've got me a Cleveland Browns football, and I'm getting some of them to autograph. So the next, I need Ken Cameron on there, and we've got one coming up. So here's the 4 birthdays over the weekend. Like I said, Claudia Hogneri is 66 years old. And you've got Don McMongle, Bill Gregory, and Vegas Kelly all celebrating birthdays Saturday. So what's up about the first weeks of May? A lot of astronauts born then. Well, we wanted to wish a congratulations in order to one of our futuristic space companies here on Future Friday. The U.S.-based Rocket Lab Electron successfully launched a pair of NASA storm monitoring satellites from New Zealand on Monday. There's that launch. A beautiful launch there. This is a mid-class, as they say, low Earth orbit rocket. There is a beautiful coast in New Zealand there. How would you UCX like to see that kind of scenery and set your remotes up on? This is an Electron electrical powered somewhat engine. All right. This is their 4th of the year for Rocket Lab and 36th Electron mission overall. And the rocket launched the Like a Hurricane mission with 2 CubeSats on board, launched shortly after 1 p.m. Monday in New Zealand from Rocket Lab Complex 1 on the Mahi Peninsula on the Archipelago nation's east coast. All right. Archipelago. I like saying that word, archipelago. This is the only class of rocket that of this size that is bringing back their first stage booster. They glide them back on a parachute there and refurbish them there. So, all right. Next up is another rocket company making news, and Robert Law. Thank you for the details that you gave me. I'm not going to share all those at this time, but Robert Law up in Dundee, Scotland, is looking forward to maybe outside his windows. Not exactly true that that's where he lives, but Orbex is a company that has begun construction at Sutherland Spaceport in Scotland with a groundbreaking ceremony on May 5th that marked the start of the first vertical launch spaceport to be built on mainland United Kingdom. All right, there's the concept of this rocket. Ooh, that looks so space age and futuristic there. It's just 100 and some feet tall rocket. Obex with headquarters and testing facilities in Scotland. Up at the top there, the dot is where the Sutherland Spaceport will be built. They have design and testing facilities in Denmark that you see across the waterway over there, the sea in Denmark to the right. And it's pushing to develop its eco-friendly rocket called Prime, which plans to launch for the first time at the end of this year. Well, we look forward to that. There is a concept of that launch. The company has signed a 50-year sublease with Highlands and Islands Enterprise, enabling it to directly launch from a facility in the United Kingdom. Has a potential to generate over $1 billion in extra revenue in this part of the country. And up there, the top of the United Kingdom there, Scotland's right at the top there. There it is, one of the OBEX offices. All right. And they're very excited about this. Robert Law, who is an outreach volunteer at the astronomy and planetariums and stuff up there, very excited about this, Robert, for you. So keep us on top of that, as Orbix is soon to become a player in the middle class as well as maybe human space flight. So, well, let's talk to the UCX a little bit more while we're rolling here, fingers crossed. Tom, is this picture sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
What a gorgeous sunrise. 50 years ago, the last Saturn V rocket on pad 39A.
It's an early morning photo shoot. They didn't really have that many of those, so this was kind of rare. But
Continue commenting on the rocket launch. This is look at the photographers there at the bottom. What size millimeter lens? What did it sound like? What did it smell like? What were the alligators doing?
well, I don't know where they were, and we didn't hear anything yet when this picture was taken because the sound hadn't reached. It was an overcast day, unfortunately, and that's the thing that I always remember, because Apollo 16, the last daytime Saturn V launch before this one, was a beautiful day, and the accident happened about a minute into the flight, and it would have been very easy to see what happened, because that shield would have come off, and I believe it would have tumbled in the up there, and then the sun would have caught it, like, and reflected it back. But it was a typical Saturn V launch. Loud.
I can see the rocket start to tilt a little bit, the angle
Right.
away.
That's a pre-programmed maneuver for tower avoidance.
How long did it take to get off the pad, Tom? I mean, I know not running you down to seconds, but you've seen a lot of shuttle launches, so compare it to that.
13 seconds.
13 seconds. Marty had to help me there with that one. I know it was very, very slow compared to the shuttle, and today's rockets with solid boosters on them. But it was an impressive sight. And if you notice,
And when the sound did reach you at 600 miles an hour, as light's traveling at 186,000 miles a second. So what did that sound like?
a low rumble, because we were hearing it just coming up to power, and then it would just increase in volume, and then when it went into the clouds, it was like a popping, a rumble, but with bangs in it, like pops, like a. I always compared it to a great fireworks show.
Wow.
The noise that it makes at a fireworks show.
Well, America's first station. First space station. Of course, the Russians pioneered space stations with their Salyut. I didn't throw any pictures of that in here on today's show. But they technically call it the Apollo Orbital Workshop. You'll see AOW is the acronym for this that kind of throws you off when everybody just calls it Skylab. This is it from space after it was repaired. Of course, you have been friends with Jack Lousma for many years. Jack, of course, was on the second crew that did a spacewalk to put this cover on it, I think. There was one temporary one with the first crew and then the second crew with Jack Lousma. But talk about meeting Jack, and he's been on the Space Coast 5 weekends in a row doing things.
Let Mark talk about Jack. They're pretty
Okay.
good friends.
Mark UCX talking now.
Be me.
On the UCX family microphone. Thank you.
We met at a bunch of space fests in Arizona, and then we also met him at the Scholarship Foundation autograph shows that they used to have here at the visitor center, and got to be really good friends with the whole family. His wife Gracia, daughter Mary, and the friendship just grew over the years because we'd see him at different events, and he is classified as NASA's nicest astronaut. The poll's been taken, and he's just a super neat guy, and we love him, and he's great.
Well, they haven't taken the poll since Nicole Stott's been out there doing outreach.
Well, that's
So,
true.
no, they're all great astronauts, and Jack is just so thrilled to talk about anything you want to talk about. I've had the privilege of actually driving him around town, and though you'd never catch him in one of these hats, okay, because he's from Michigan, he is just a great guy. He loves talking about his missions in detail, and I mean, he remembers everything about them. Imagine the Hasselblad cameras that he lugged around in weightlessness, Tommy, in this beautiful, gigantic Skylab that was just cavernous. There's, of course, pieces of it when it came down to Earth, or in some of the institutions. This is out at, that's at Huntsville, in fact, at the U.S. Rocket and Space Center there. There's always been some confusion because an engineer person like Marty would call this launch of the orbiter workshop Skylab 1. But Skylab 1, to the press people like the late Mr. Hugh Harris, Skylab 1 was the first crewed mission, all right? And even the last crewed mission has a 3 on their patch, but engineers in the firing room called that mission Skylab 4. So just another little confusing thing that NASA with their acronyms and numberings and so forth. But I like this the best because the Skylab was the number one launch, and then they go by launches as a firing room person would on the Skylab program. And I like that. People, and I'm with great respect, people like Marty and other engineers in there, they think differently, and I'm certainly glad they do than an artistic person like me, because, and of course the phone's going to ring while we're here today going on there. So it's another phone call from Scam Likely, okay? I've yet to talk to this person, all right? But they keep calling me, so. All right, as we move on, one more. We're thinking about space stations out there. And, of course, me growing up as a baby boomer, this was going to be what space stations looked like in 1975 when we were launching Skylab. Well, they were going to look like this in when? 2001, but not. In 2001, we barely had a space station. In 2023, this is what our space station, of course, looks like. The present, as we look on future Fridays on Stay Curious. And it's completed, but is it completed? It's not completed, folks. And you're going to say, Mark, you're losing your mind. You've been on freeze too long on the show here. No, there's going to be an addition to the International Space Station. Stay curious, all right? As I talk about that, we can't forget about the Chinese. And their space station looks a lot like this in this artist rendering. They're not releasing any photos of it, but they have 3 men cosmonauts up there right now. We have 7 men astronauts in the space station. That makes for 10. And we're soon to break the record finally. Or is it with 14? All right. No, we're going to tie the record again with 14. And you go, what are you talking about, Mark? Yep. Well, what I'm talking about, I'll tell you just a minute. One thing that's transitioned in the 20 years of our International Space Station orbiting the Earth, 22 actually continuously occupied, it'll be 23 in November, is the clutter. And China has noticed this, and of course China, Sony, all these other great companies, electronics in Japan and so forth, they are going completely Bluetooth and wireless. And China's bragging at how clean and lack of wires are in their space station. But it's brand new. It's like a new car, and you haven't dropped any French fries below the seat yet, okay, in there. So this is what it's going to look like 20 years later, China. Don't be kidding yourself on the left there. But no, I see the blue, and I thought that was weird when, if you didn't know it, of Crew Dragon astronauts communicate on Bluetooth headsets, okay? There's no other electronic communications. It is a Bluetooth in the ear type communication for the astronauts on a Dragon spacecraft. Well, this is, of course, in the future, is the Gateway that's going to be orbiting between the Earth and the Moon, all right? This shows the Uber, as you will, the Orion spacecraft docked to it over here. What's not attached to it is the landing, gigantic. It's bigger than this whole complex. The Starship is supposed to be the lander on this thing. This is only going to be about as big as 3 school buses or something like that. It's not going to be very big at all. It's like the early days. Actually, 2 of the segments would fit. Could be taken up in the payload bay of the shuttle if we still had it. So that's the future, the Lunar Gateway. ESA and Canada are great partners along with Japan on this. All right, and we have some claim to it, but it's basically an international effort there. Well, I alluded to the fact while we were stalling for time there that a week from Mother's Day, which is this Sunday, May 21st, these astronauts are going to be launched to the space station, and that is Peggy Whitson, NASA's most experienced astronaut at 667 days in space. All right. Next to her is John Schaffner of Tennessee. All right. And then you have 2 astronauts from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Al-Kanari and Rayana Barnawa, and she'll be the first Saudi woman to go to space. All right, we've got a prince up there right now, in fact. So I'm sure, but he's from the United Arab Emirates. All right, so I'm sure they know each other and been around the golf course together or something like that, the country club. Yeah, I never know. Maybe they haven't. But this mission will last 12 days, including 10 spent aboard the International Space Station, which I'm going backwards, but I'm having fun doing it. There we go. There they are. That's Schaffner, and of course that would be Rayana, and then Ali, and then Peggy Whitson there. So they're going to basically just check out how these people are with Axiom. Axiom wants to build its own space station. That's the future of space stations. So my granddaughter can have her wedding anniversary up in space. McKinley, I hope that happens for you. She's not even 2 years old yet, so she's got a good chance of that happening. And this is what we're talking about with Axiom and these companies. So what is the future? Well, Axiom is having this crew come up there to, of course, Peggy's been the commander of the International Space Station. Did I forget to say that? That she was the first female commander of the ISS and one of the most experienced astronauts ever to be on it. So she's going to see it, as it's aged a little bit. She hadn't been on it probably for 5 years. So they're going to add modules, Axiom is. Here is what Axiom will build on the International Space Station, proposed to be completed by 2026 or 7. 4 modules are going to send up there. The first one at the beginning of next year, I believe, that will be habitats to hold 8 people. So UCX, let's save our money and go up there and have a little Stay Curious fun broadcast up there. With Axiom. But this is what it's going to look like. You can see the Japan modules right here. Okay. Oh, and we happened again. Oh, no, we're stalling. We're almost there. I just have 4 more slides to do on there. So, well, I can stall a little bit on this as we're catching up. Axiom Space Director of Human Space Flights, Peggy Whitson. All right. Got a lot of people watching today. Thank you for hanging in there. Gary Mole, thank you for watching. Teresa Krebs, Serene Isanu, Andrea Georgiev, and Maria Colin, all new names. Thank you. I'm sorry for our hiccups. Thank you for staying with us. We are what we are here at our nonprofit, the American Space Museum. and we're just having gremlins filling up our computer and whatever, and we'll get it solved. As Doug Forrest wants us to. Didn't get to show Doug's artwork today, but I will Monday. Some of his pencil drawings that we brag about. Bill Whiting. Is Bill Whiting on his way back to Michigan, Marty?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning. I understand Bill made a nice donation to the American Space Museum. Thank you, sir. But more importantly, thank you for your friendship. We appreciate your friendship as much as you do ours. After all, he's got a great place to watch launches from. So, but no, Bill's an awesome volunteer. Helped us out a lot at Shuttlefest. Carlton Bailey, CB, is he buying tonight, guys, at Zarellas? They're going, yeah, okay. I thought you were buying tonight at Zarellas. That's why I offered to buy you tomorrow, CB. Chris Callie's watching. Hey, Chris. Hope everything's going well with you up there in Connecticut. Abdul Bono's watching. Cynthia Rossi. All right. As they're in amazement. I know you didn't know when you woke up this morning that Axiom is planning on adding this 4 segments to the International Space Station. Is that a cupola or is that a lantern on the bottom of there? That really looks pretty cool. And that is the Japanese space module there. All right, the Japan module there with the porch on it with the arm. Christopher Mick knows that. Hey, Selvin, thank you for your help today. Brewster Baker. Tom Celentano's watching. Hazel Banks. Great. Hope you're doing well, Hazel. Litza Della Porta, Tammy Miller, and Robert Law. Loved us talking about Dundee, Scotland, and the spaceport that's going to be right near his facility there. So here's another look at another company. Axiom, like I said, is the launch, by the way, of the Axiom spacecraft on Sunday at 5:37 is named Freedom. All right. So another big player in the future of space stations is Blue Origin. And, well, okay. Oh, there. No, this is, sorry. Didn't show this. This is what your private room in Axiom will look like, Marty. All right. You know, you don't have anyone to leave any money to, so just you take it all and go to space with Axiom there, buddy. And this is we're going to put you in a rubber room. See all the walls there? But that makes sense if you're going to be zero gravity. You want to bump into cushion stuff there. Gigantic window. There's a screen TV there. I'm sure that'll be filled up quick with you billionaires. And this is what Axiom's own space station will look like, a concept of it. And that top part went off the picture. I don't know what the heck that's supposed to be up there, the big tall structure there. I hope it's a telescope, so that would be an astronomy space station up there. But guess who's got bigger plans? Oh yeah, Jeff Bezos' spaceflight venture Blue Origin has announced plans to build its own free-flying space station called the Orbital Reef. The future space station will begin operating in the second half of this decade, according to the Blue Origin, which is like they better get, we're at 2023. So it's working on the Orbital Reef project in partnership with the space flight company Sierra Space, a subsidiary of Sierra Nevada Corps. The Dream Chaser might be the Uber up to Orbital Reef. Okay. It's backing additional space flights with Boeing also, maybe to go to their orbital reef. Again, it boasts that the space station will have an open system architecture that will allow a variety of people and customers to use the facility. A list of possible users includes space agencies, media and travel companies, entrepreneurs and investors, tech companies, and more. So anything you want, they'll take your money and make sure that you can do it in space. So Blue Origin, wow, Marty. I mean, really, when you're looking at things like this, you do wish we were in a few years younger. Let's say that I wish I wasn't a baby boomer and I was more like a middle-aged person to watch some of this come to fruition. Because we're going to see another picture of the Blue Origin's orbital reef here in just a second. I accidentally inserted in there another space station that is on the books just 50 miles from us here in Melbourne at Northrop Grumman. Skylab is a space station that they want to launch at the end of the 2020s. NASA has already given Northrop Grumman $160 million for its development. It's expected that its design will consist of a large main module, which will be inflatable, and a metal transfer compartment that you see there. Now, Bigelow is also another player in the space habitat world, and they've got a Bigelow inflatable unit on the space station that they've had up there for a couple years. It was just going to last a couple months, but they're keeping it up there for storage. The whole volume in this big section you there is the entire volume of the International Space Station's 7 modules are in that one little cylinder there. But people will be scattered inside modules. It's expected that 4 astronauts will be able to work simultaneously in Skylab. Skylab, wow, who'd have thought that? Along with the orbital reef up there. There is the orbital reef, another concept of it, all right. They don't have enough windows for me in that thing, but of course windows are a big deal when you're in outer space. So, whew, well, we got through this like pulling teeth, but that's okay. We're glad that you stayed with us here because we have great friends like you that want to stay curious. And Marty, thank you for doing what you did there to keep me calmed down, I guess, as we went through our little hiccups here. We have a major problem with the computer slows down, doesn't catch up with what we're broadcasting, and then I can't advance any pictures. So we may have to have some old school pictures on the side like we used to do back in the day, but we're glad that all of you are helping us expand Stay Curious better. So let's go out on a positive note, thinking about Mother Earth on Mother's Day. And Mother Earth rising over the moon, of course, that is our friend Chris Callie's masterpiece that he calls Inspiration. He's done different versions of the background on this with the Earth flowing up there. CallieSpaceArt.com, and you can own this beautiful thing, a copy of it yourself. So Mother Earth, think about Mother Earth. It's a precious, fragile globe, a planet among billions of planets out there in the universe. So thank you all for a great show today that we tried to do. The Usiak brothers, I'm glad you were here. Your comments were just so valuable. Audrey, nice to meet you. Do you have anything to say about your brothers in there, to get back at them there?
I'm very proud of them.
Right? Well, you know, they have a nickname for you, Boozer.
Yeah.
There. And but she's not a drinker, Boozer. She's an Emerson Boozer of the New York Jets running back. That's us baby boomers go back, don't we, Audrey?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you're proud of your brothers, and thank you very much. It's great to meet you, and we feel part of the family, don't we, Marty? And so, well, everybody, as we think of Mother Earth, please don't forget Mom, all right? And everybody have a wonderful Mother's Day, whether your mother's alive or not. My mom, God bless you, 90 years old. Sally McKinley, love you to death. And so proud of you and what you've accomplished in your life in her 90 years. So moms everywhere deserve everything that they get. And we hope that you have a beautiful Sunday with your mother, or she's in your thoughts there. So thank you, everybody, for a great Streamlabs program that we efforted finally through there. And until next week, all I'm going to say is I'm Mark Marquette, and I can't wait to do it again. I really can't, to bridge the space between us.